Hi there, students. A batch, a countable noun. You can also use it as a verb, but normally to batch together. Okay, a batch is a group of things that is made at the same time, or dealt with all at the same time, or thought of as the same type. This word, a batch, is particularly common in baking. So I baked a batch of bread rolls. Okay, all of them were made together at one time. Okay, and this is the idea of a batch, a series of things that are done together. So I made a batch of cookies. I made a quantity of cookies. Yeah, I mixed a batch of cement. You can also use it to talk about a group of tourists. So another batch of tourists came through. Yeah. We've had a batch of financial problems recently. Yeah, a group of them. Okay, so a batch, a set of things that you deal with normally at one time. I dealt with a batch of complaints this morning, a group of complaints. Yeah, the company produces a batch of sweets every 3 hours, for example. In computers, we have a batch file, okay, or batch processing. And a batch file is something that is a program that runs without you needing to tell the computer to do anything. It just runs it automatically. The extension is .bat, and you may well have seen that. Batch processing. This means a production method where you produce a quantity of things at the same time, or in one group, or a one-off production. So we don't normally make this, but we can produce a batch for you. Okay, this is the idea of batch. A group of things considered as a whole. Yes, the prison received a batch of convicts, a new batch of convicts. Okay, so a quantity all coming at one time, all taken together. Yeah, particularly in baking, a batch of bread rolls. I baked a batch of bread rolls. You can actually have this phrase, batch baking, where you make a large number of cakes or something like that at the same time, and then you freeze most of them so that you can use them in the future. I'm going to batch bake a huge number of biscuits, and then we'll have biscuits for the next 6 months. Okay, so that's the idea of a batch. You could also consider a batch a group of students who are taught together at school or college or university. Yeah, it's like, so this batch, a class if you like, people or things dealt with as one group at the same time. I dealt with a large batch of applications. Send in the first batch of candidates, okay, the first 3 or 4. There are too many letters to send out in one go, so why don't we do it in smaller batches? Yeah, we do it in groups of 1,000, for example. To batch together, to make things into a group so that you can all deal with them all at the same time. If we batch these 3 jobs together, we can almost kill 3 birds with 1 stone. I nearly gave it the other way around. Okay, so a batch, a quantity of something produced in one operation. We made a lot of ice in batches. A group or collection of things of the same type. I bought a batch of picture frames. Yeah. A, in computing a batch, a set of data to be processed in one execution, or a bat file that is dealt with automatically. So batch, this is a totally neutral word. I would definitely use it in an informal conversation. 5 informality, use it absolutely anywhere. And then as to origin, well, in Old English there's a word bake, which comes from baking or something baked. And that's why a batch, particularly in baking, a batch of loaves, a batch of cakes, a batch of biscuits. And that comes itself from Proto-Germanic bakaz, meaning baking. Okay? So, a batch, a group of things together. Normally I make the 3 videos every day, and I try to make them in one batch. I make them all together. So, yeah, and then to batch together, to group things together so that you can deal with them, all of them at one time. Let's see, yeah. The contractor batched together the orders into one group, okay? To batch them together, to put together in a group. So enough. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Batch.